Thanks for joining, everyone. My name is Devon, and I'm a sales engineer here at Plaid. I work with Plaid customers to help architect solutions from a technical and product perspective. And today I'm going to be sharing some best practices that help Plaid customers get the most out of their integrations. So while Plaid's underlying technology is market leading, how Plaid integrations are deployed have implications for how successful they will be. By employing the practices outlined in this presentation, you can maximize conversion, maintain connection health over time, and create the best experience for your users. So what I hear from all of the customers I work with, unsurprisingly, is that they want to maximize the number of their users who successfully connect an account with Plaid and maintain the health of those connections over the long term so they can leverage the full benefits of ongoing data from a live connected bank account to display transaction information on an ongoing basis, assess risk associated with money movement, among other things. In this presentation, I, as well as Hee-Sun from our customer growth and experience team, will outline how you can maximize conversion by clearly communicating with your users and analyzing their behavior, maintain health of connected accounts by listening for errors and leveraging update mode, understand financial institution performance in real time by using our dashboard, and more easily navigate our documentation and troubleshoot any issues using our off-the-shelf AI capabilities. So a quick disclaimer before I get started, not all Plaid integrations are the same. These are general best practices that should always be considered in the context of your user base and individual integration. So for example, I'll discuss pre-link messaging, essentially how you prepare your users for the Plaid account linking process. And this message will likely be different for an application that is targeted to a more tech-savvy set of users versus one that is targeted to a less tech-savvy set of users. So let's get into it. The first step to a successful Plaid integration is ensuring your users can successfully connect their bank accounts. So I'll start by sharing some strategies that we've seen our customers successfully employ to minimize the chance of a user leaving the Plaid connection process prior to successfully linking their account. These suggestions involve adjustments to language in your user experience, responding to errors, and understanding analytics over the long term to gain actionable insights. With bank linking, context is key. Users are understandably sensitive when it comes to sharing their bank account information, so it's crucial to clearly explain to your user why they should link their account. And again, this will vary by application. So in a case where a user is receiving payouts to their bank account, it may be that they can receive their money in a more streamlined manner, as Plaid allows accounts to be validated instantly compared to manual verification methods, which can take multiple days. So adding language in your UI along the lines of connect your bank account with Plaid to receive your money faster. In the case of a personal finance application, reminding the user that in order to have a complete picture of their finances, they need to connect all of their financial institution accounts. It's also really important that Plaid is not a surprise. So in addition to the value proposition, make it clear to your user that they will be temporarily leaving your application to complete their account linking through Plaid. Depending on your user base, you may also want to provide detailed instructions on this process, like letting them know that they'll need their online banking credentials in order to link their account. Finally, emphasize security whenever possible, using terms that will resonate with your user base. For example, calling out the fact that Plaid uses 256-bit encryption. Essentially, throw in terms that are associated with online security, but recognizable by a general audience and more specifically, your users. If one of your users does leave the Plaid account connection flow without linking their account, we will provide specific information as to why. This is as detailed as indicating how many times they entered a password incorrectly or what they entered in the search pane when trying to find their institution. So building out messaging that guides the user based on the error they are experiencing can help save a session from being a failure. So for example, an error indicates that a user has connected a financial institution account that does not contain any checking accounts. And for your use case, you are requiring a user to connect a checking account to facilitate money movements. In this scenario, clearly communicate to that user that they need to restart the bank linking process and select an institution where they hold an active checking account. The strategies I've discussed so far help maximize conversion at time of account linking. However, the data Plaid provides on every step a user takes that leads to a successful or unsuccessful connection is really valuable for analyzing performance and making adjustments to improve your integration. So logging this data for every link session and analyzing it over the long term provides important insights as to why your users may not be completing the Plaid link flow. For example, if you're seeing a trend of users dropping off immediately after initiating a Plaid link session, perhaps you want to improve your pre-link messaging so that they're better prepared for the link experience. If the trend is that users are dropping off at password entry, you may want to provide more clear account linking instructions, specifically indicating to the user they will need to provide their online banking credentials to complete the Plaid link flow. So once your user has connected an account, it is now a matter of ensuring that account stays in a good state so you can continue to leverage the live connection to pull data on an ongoing basis. This will involve making sure you're listening for any errors in real time and implementing functionality that allows a user to reconnect their account in a streamlined manner if their connection does go into a bad state. I touched a bit on error handling through the lens of minimizing link drop-off at time of account linking. Post-account linking, Plaid will proactively communicate if a connected account has gone into a bad state through webhooks. So it's absolutely crucial to build out these webhooks, listen for specific events, and respond to those events appropriately. A few common scenarios that can lead to a connection going into an unhealthy state. An increasing number of institutions are expiring connections on a yearly basis and requiring users to re-authenticate in order to keep those connections in a good state. In this case, we'll notify you 7 days ahead of expiration via webhook, and you can also retrieve the expiration date at any time after account connection via API. Another reason a connection may go into a bad state is that one of your users has changed the security settings on their connected account and needs to reauthorize under their new security protocol. When you receive a notification that an account needs to be reauthorized, you can send that user through update mode. Not only does this create a more streamlined experience for your end user, as they are taken directly to the institution login screen of the institution that they had connected prior, rather than having to restart the Plaid flow entirely, but it saves you money. Instead of being charged to create a new connection, update mode simply patches the currently connected account at no additional charge. If you have a Plaid integration that requires the use of ongoing data from a connected account, implementing update mode is one of the most important things you can do to create a better user experience and save money on your Plaid integration. And I mentioned this earlier, but really want to re-emphasize, we're seeing more banks moving to a model where connections need to be updated on a yearly basis. So building in logic to account for this and leveraging update mode is only becoming more relevant for open banking connections. Thank you for the time, everyone. I hope it was helpful. I'll pass it to Hee-Sun for the remainder of the presentation.
Hi, everyone. I'm Hee-Sun, and I'm a product manager from our customer growth and experience team. In this section, I'll explain how you can use Plaid's AI toolset and dashboard to put into practice some of the things that Devon mentioned. So, how do you implement update mode, log events, and take other actions? We've talked about our MCP server, but we also provide an off-the-shelf AI tool directly in our docs that can be used without any setup called Bill. To use Bill, go to the upper left-hand corner of our API docs where it says search or ask a question. If you navigate to Ask Bill and enter a question, we'll provide an instant response citing sources from the docs. As with any AI tool, Bill can make mistakes, so please review the source material. Here's an example of Bill providing a comprehensive answer to the question, how do I implement update mode? So you can get this information without having to dig through the docs yourself. And you can ask follow-up questions based on Bill's response at any time in the flow. So now switching over to the dashboard, when you need to investigate a link or an integration issue, the Plaid dashboard is the one-stop place for the insights and tools that you'll need. So we've heard from you all that understanding your link conversion out of the box is really important. To do this from the dashboard, you can navigate to the link analytics page. From here, you can see your performance compared to Plaid's overall conversion rate and filter by different segments like geography or institution. If you want to see where your users are dropping off in the link flow, you can look at the funnel and quickly see which step could benefit from extra investigation. You can also see which errors users are frequently running into so that you can add messaging tailored to these errors, as Devon mentioned earlier. We've also heard that you want a better pulse on financial institutions that most of your users are connecting to. So to look up Plaid's connection with any institution, you can go to status. In this case, you might be interested in Gingham Bank since it's the top institution for your app in terms of traffic. You can even set an alert for when Gingham Bank's connection with Plaid drops below a certain threshold and be notified via email or webhook. And finally, when troubleshooting with these tools doesn't solve the problem, you can file a support ticket from the dashboard at any time. We've heard time and again that you want to get back to your users quickly. So it's important that we transparently let you know when we're aware of an issue, particularly with institutions. So if I know a link session ran into a connectivity issue, I can enter a request ID or any other type of ID and immediately see the status. If this request is connected to an issue that Plaid is already aware of, I can see that directly in the flow. In this case, Gingham Bank was having elevated errors that Plaid was aware of, and we escalated it to Gingham Bank. And you can follow the issue, and Plaid will email you once they've addressed it. So as you can see, we've built the Plaid dashboard to help address issues immediately when possible and allow you to get ahead of issues when they may arise. And hopefully some of the insights that we've shared today are both helpful and actionable for you. And if there's one takeaway that we hope you walk away with, it's that Plaid integrations are most successful when you leverage both the functionality and the guidance that we've built based on what's worked for our most successful customers. Technical integration of the Plaid module is the first, but not the only step to achieving success with Plaid. And simple actions like the ones that we've outlined in this presentation can have a pretty significant impact on user conversion and the overall health of your integration. So now we'll open it up to questions for the remaining time.
Cool. So I'm seeing a few questions on update mode, so I'll answer those. The first is, can you explain again how update mode is better than just relinking? So with update mode, you're essentially sending a user who has connected an account before directly to the institution where they connected that account. So without update mode, what that user would do is they would open up Plaid Link, they'd have to reselect, or they'd have to reconsent, reselect the institution that they shared prior, adding more steps to the process. With update mode, they're taken directly to the institution's login screen so they can reauthorize access in as streamlined a manner as possible. And then as a Plaid customer, if you send them through a net new linking session, you are charged for essentially a new connection. When you send them through update mode, the current connection is patched and you are not charged for a new connection. And then the second question is, does update mode help if the user has closed their account and moved to another one? In that case, update mode would not be relevant. So update mode is patching a currently open account that has gone into a bad state, again, maybe because a user has changed their security protocol and needs to reauthorize under that new security protocol, or because the expiration that an institution has put into place is coming up or has gone into effect already. And then just one more question I see, can we get more than 7 days heads up for expirations? When an individual or when a user connects, we'll provide via API when that connection expires. So you can always call our API and see when an expiration will expire. Currently, our webhooks are set up such that they deliver the notification 7 days in advance, but that's definitely something we can take back to our product team.
Cool. I'm seeing a couple questions about how Plaid communicates about issues with institutions. So basically, when we know of an issue that we're trying to fix on our side, we will do our best to make sure we're assessing that particular issue in terms of impact. So obviously the higher amount of traffic that particular bug or issue within an institution is affecting, the higher up we'll prioritize it and try to fix it. And then if it's affecting like just 1 or 2 or a much lower % of traffic, we won't necessarily fix it. And I think what we're trying to do is also be transparent when we know we're not going to fix an issue, or in the case of an escalation to a data partner, when we have gotten information back from that data partner and we're not in a position to be able to fix that issue, we will update the known issue card that you just saw in the dashboard, and we'll send updates like via email if you're following that particular issue. So we recognize that it's important that you get the information you need to get back to your users, and sometimes that means we just won't be able to fix that issue. I also got a question about how you access the dashboard as a Plaid user. So hopefully it is, to have a Plaid account, you do need a dashboard account. So all of the tools that you just saw are available through the left navigation bar of the dashboard. And there's also a search bar. So if there's a particular feature that you saw in this presentation that you're interested in, you can use the search bar to navigate there directly.
Yeah, picking up a few questions. Do processor tokens from Plaid get broken as well? If they do expire, do we use update mode? The short answer there is yes. Essentially, in order to patch any account connection, whether it's being leveraged through a processor token or directly, you'll want to use update mode.
I can go next. There are two questions about Bill, or the AI tool. So there's a question about just explaining how this tool works and what kinds of questions it can answer. So basically this Bill is built on top of a third-party LLM, but basically it crawls through our docs. It also crawls through any public documentation that we have. So that includes our Help Center articles, our YouTube videos, anything that's kind of available outside of Plaid as far as how our products work. And so Bill uses that as the source of knowledge to be able to answer the free-form questions that someone enters. And, we're always monitoring Bill's answers to make sure that it's both providing the latest information, but also as we learn about things that Bill says may not be totally accurate, that we're going back and correcting Bill so that it's constantly striving to give the most up-to-date information about our products.
Cool. I see a question from Barry. Are the recommendations discussed available in your documentation? Yes, we have documentation entitled Optimizing Link Conversion. So that provides some of the recommendations and actually additional ones that weren't even covered in the presentation. I see there's also a question surrounding the link funnel with drop-off is live and how you can leverage it. So that is live today. The way that you can monitor the drop-off and actions that a user takes are through our on events and on success or on exit callbacks. So our on event callback, these are part of our SDK, fires for each action a user takes in the linking process. So, what institution did they choose? Did they enter their password incorrectly? How many times did they enter their password correctly? And then the on exit callback fires if they do not successfully complete a link session. The on success callback fires if they do successfully complete a link session. So those are the two terminal states. Is update mode and webhook part of the dashboard? In short, no. You'll pass, when you create a link token, you'll pass a webhook in that request, you'll pass a webhook URL in that request, and that will essentially tell Plaid where to send the webhook if the account goes into a bad state or anything else needs to be communicated. You can also change that webhook URL, but in short, it's specified via API when you create a link for an end user. I see another question. What is the most important step to take when there is low customer engagement during Plaid Link? It's a really good question, and it will vary based on your user base and use case. But really the pre-link messaging and making the value proposition clear to the end user. So clearly conveying to them what is the value of linking an account with Plaid. Time and time again, we see what we refer to as high intent use cases converting at the highest level. So if high intent use case is something like connect your account so that you can receive payouts, right? Everybody wants to receive their money in an expedited manner. So whatever you can do to create as much value in the Plaid connection as possible is really key to nudging up conversion. I also see a few questions just about business versus individual, like consumer accounts generally. So I think Jen talked about this a little bit earlier. We now support business accounts. Generally speaking, the connection process will be the same for those business accounts versus individual consumer accounts. The caveat there is that we generally support small to medium-sized business accounts, but the link process will be the same, essentially for one of those small to medium-sized business users. As you get up to larger corporate accounts, there are limitations with open banking in general. Oh, and yeah, seeing one, is there a way through the webhooks to determine whether to show the user update mode? Yes, each webhook will communicate specifically what is taking place with the connected account. So if the webhook indicates that the connection is broken due to, for example, an expiration by a financial institution, or that the user needs to re-enter their credentials, you will send that user through update mode. If the webhook communicates that the account has been closed entirely, right, you wouldn't send the user through update mode because there's really nothing to update there. Cool. I think we're at time at the top of the hour. Thank you all for the questions and for attending the presentation.